Hello, my friends. How are you? Welcome to episode 11 of This Canvas Could Talk. And we're so excited. We're going to be doing something different today. It's going to be a little crazy. We have no plan. So we are just going to talk, and our friend Allie is going to give us a subject to talk about. But I'm so excited you guys are here and coming to join us. So I'm just going to wait for a few people. There, Allie's on. Hi, Allie. Let me get Terry. Oh, I see Terry. Okay, let me invite Terry. And we can start and get our subjects that we're going to be talking about, which makes me a little bit nervous, but I'm also excited. Are you on?
Good
Yes,
morning.
there she is. Hi. Hi, my friend.
Hi.
I'm going to move my camera up a little bit. Oh,
I
let's
know. I always think that my camera's at a great angle until I watch the replay, and then I'm like, you can't even see me.
Yeah, well, we're all learning, right? We're all just getting. Hi, Jody.
Totally.
Jody's here with us.
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning.
All
Hi.
right. So, this was Miss Terry's challenge to me, to let go, be a little free, so that we could practice being free with our art. So, go ahead and tell everybody what we're doing today.
Oh, me? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking to Allie because I just saw Allie come on and say good morning. So, well, one of the things that we're trying to do is just be a little bit looser in our art, obviously, because both Jeanette and I want to work on being more abstract. And we have all these conversations about that we begin with an abstract idea in our mind, and then as we're painting and creating, we get more realism in it, and it becomes becomes more not it becomes less abstract. And one of the things of painting abstract, I think that there are misconceptions I had that of it's easy to do abstract. No, it's actually, I think, a lot harder to do abstract because you have to let go and just let it do what it's going to do and let it be. So this was the idea of like, how could we get used to that feeling? Because those are muscles that if you use them over time, they get stronger, right? And so if we can get used to how it feels to be a little bit out of control, that feeling of being out of control won't be so weird and fearful. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I don't know
promise.
if I'll ever agree, but we can do it for sure. But so we tasked our fellow artist and friend. She was on our show with us, Allie for the Soul. We said, Allie, if you don't mind thinking of a subject that we could talk about, and we're just going to freeform it. We'll have a discussion. You guys could ask questions, and we'll just see how it goes.
It's going to go awesome.
Yeah,
So Allie said, I have a question.
So.
Hope it's okay. Yes, it's okay.
Yeah, so Allie, go ahead with your question. You
Is your question the subject, and that's the beginning of us going, or is your question a sidebar of what topic you're going to give us? Okay, where did it go? Since. Okay, can you read it? Because it's going away for me.
Yeah, since on this art journey, what habits have you started? Good, bad, setting a routine, or structuring your day, or more unstructured? And then she said, I guess just run with it. Allie,
we're gonna run with it.
Love it. I love
habits.
Oh, yeah. So what habits have we started, good or bad? Have we set a routine or structured our day? Or is it more unstructured? So that's since we started our art, because we are both, just starting out since 2021, really, for me. I mean, I kind of started in 2020, but basically really for sure, for real in 2021. And I believe you're the same timing as me, right, Terry?
I think whenever the pandemic started, like the March 1st of that year, was that 2020?
Yeah.
Yeah, August. I think that's when I left my other career, but I didn't know what I was going to do. And then in that summer, I started to kind of paint and play around.
my God, we left at the same time. I left my job in August of 2020.
Really? So yeah,
Yes.
we've started the journey together and here we are. And we didn't even know, you
We didn't
know?
know. Okay, well,
Yeah.
this is great. I love it. Okay, so do you want to start?
Well, first, I know that habits can make or break us, right? And so they're very important. And my husband he's a very much a creature of habit, and he does everything very methodical to the point that sometimes it drives me crazy because I'm very much more spontaneous. But as I get older and I see our paths, I realize that it is better to have good habits and to create them. So I created a schedule for myself and I have it every week. Do I follow it to the T? No, it's very flexible, which I wanted, but I do find myself the further I get away from a schedule, the less art I create and the less in control I feel of my day. The day gets away from me with all the piddly things because when you work at home, there's a million things that are distracting. I got to do the dishes. I got to do laundry. I got to take my dog out. I got to make lunch. I got to clean up that. I got to, and then the day it's like, oh, I didn't paint anything all day. So I've tried to create some space around that. It does help. And when I find myself straying, I come back to that schedule and go, okay, I'm happiest when I have a little bit of structure.
Right.
How about you?
Well, for me, I think I set this as a goal when I started this. I said I have to do something that brings me joy, and I know you're the same way. And my goal is ultimately to make a living as an artist and do it full time. So for me, I'm still working freelance. So I kind of have to structure my day around whether or not I have a freelance job to work on. Um, but what I try to do, no matter what, even if I'm working on a freelance job, I try to do something that is a step towards my art, whether it's looking for inspiration for my next painting that I'm going to do, whether it's setting up my next, and I'm sure you do this too, setting up your next Instagram post. So I always
Mm-hmm.
work on the art every day. Sometimes it's for 15 minutes. Sometimes I can do a few hours, but I always spend every day working on my goal of my art. So a lot of things that people don't know about artists is that, like, I'd say 60-70% of our time is spent on the back end. It's prepping, it's buying supplies, it's doing our social media, it's if you have an email list, which I'm just starting to build mine, working on emails. So a lot of that, and then budgeting and things like that. I've taken some courses from another artist coach called Marisa Cummings, Creative Thursday, and she does an art planning course where you plan out your year. And I think to take this seriously, planning out your year of what your main, like the art fair is the main thing, launching a new collection is the main thing, planning that out on the calendar and then backing up your steps also helps kind of put structure around it. And I didn't have any of that before I started. Like before I took her course, before, all I knew was that I was going to take a little step, no matter how small, every day doing something towards my art. So that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
how I started doing it. And then but having the plan for the year to make it more official, like a real business,
Yeah.
also helps put structure in. The bad habits, I'd say, would be if I start scrolling on social and I get distracted, and then, I end up doing that versus, doing something that's a little bit more goal oriented. But, there's things I can do where you prep a canvas, where you just goof around in your sketchbook. So I think that's my main thing, is just taking little steps towards my goal. And of course, if we have time where we can just spend a whole day painting or a whole weekend painting, that is the best. But a lot of times there could be weeks that go by where I don't paint because I'm working on freelance, but I'm always doing something, whether even if it's not painting. So I hope
Right.
that makes sense. Let's see, Allie
Yeah.
said the yearly plan is it a goal list or financial or both? It's both, Allie. So she taught that you she actually taught that you sent excuse me, you set what you want to make or what your revenue goal is, and then you bump it up so it's, you're always striving. But she said you set your revenue goal up, then you break your revenue goal down by quarter, then by month, then by week, then by day, and then what things do you have to do or create in order to reach those revenue goals. So that's how she taught us to start it. Since we're just building revenue, I think I mostly just put my big launches or big things that I want to do. Like I'm doing the Christmas ornaments this Christmas. I didn't do that last year because we were just starting, so I didn't do that. But probably next year I'll have on my calendar, oh, I got to start painting my Christmas ornaments. So that kind of helps you build structure around what you want to work on and what you do. Let's see, Petal and
Mhm.
Sunray. Oh, what a cute name. She says, hi, do you ever wonder what to paint, or do you always have a steady supply of ideas?
Well, I always have a steady supply of ideas. I have so many that sometimes it makes me not paint because I don't know where to start. I just have so many things I want to try and do and put out there. But um I just, for me, I just know that I'm in a phase right now where I just want to paint whimsical floral shapes, and I'm exploring that. So I know when I start the canvas that ultimately it's going to kind of end up as that, but I don't necessarily know how I'm going to get to the end result, if that makes sense. I'm still learning all of that and putting all of it together in different ways. So I'm always inspired, but I don't always know I don't have an intention of an exact painting. But I
Yeah.
think, Jeanette, you might be a little bit different because yours are how about you? I don't want to speak for you, but yeah, you go.
No, I don't. I think what you said, I'm always inspired, but I don't always know what I'm going to do. Like I'll sit down and that sometimes I will scroll through Instagram before I know I'm going to start painting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll, think of things, oh, I like that, or I want to do something like that. But the one goal I have is to do, like we talked about at the beginning, I really want to do some more abstract, and I want to do landscapes and seascapes, but make them as abstract as I can. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll just sketch in my sketchbook, and that kind of gets my juices flowing and my ideas going. I'll scroll through Instagram sometimes. Um, Sometimes I'll just mix paint. It's kind of fun to mix paint, and that's a project I'm going to work on next year. I'm going to start mixing paint and do it live, and because I want to do it for myself for my sketchbook, so I'm hoping that'll be something fun. But even just doing that kind of gets your creativity going. A good thing to do for people that haven't or aren't painters or artists, get a sketchbook and start cutting out magazine pages, and do colored pencils, do watercolor, and just start putting stuff in your sketchbook. It's almost like a diary where no one's going to look at it, but you can start doing some creative things, and you never know where that inspiration is going to lead. So I think being inspired, but not always knowing what I want to paint. I will say, I know I want to do some seascapes today, or I'm going to do a landscape. Like I kind of narrow it down that way sometimes. But yeah, I don't always have a specific idea.
And I'm finding that I'm way inspired at night. You hear my dog coughing, sorry. I get inspired at night when I don't have the ability to paint. And then I stay up all night scrolling and being inspired and making this plan of like what I'm going to do tomorrow when I get into the studio to paint. And then I either never get into the studio to paint, or then when I get here, I lose that feeling of that I always feel like I have the ability to be incredibly my dog is going to drive me crazy. Squirrel,
No
like I
worries.
cannot
No
concentrate
worries.
because I'm like, seriously, Mally, right now, you got to do this right now. Okay, she's trying to get settled in her bed and it's causing her to cough, so bear with us. Anyone who has dogs is totally laughing like you are because we know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
um, no, I was saying that I feel in my mind, I feel a whole lot looser. And like tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to be so loose in my painting and it's going to be, I'm just going to do woo, and then I get up and I'm like, I can't be that loose because then it's going to look ridiculous. And I start to get in my brain and I talk myself out of being loose and free. And then I end up not knowing where I'm going. So to answer your question, it depends on the moment, the day. I mean, it can change. Yeah.
And I find I
So
wake up at night and I'll go to bed thinking of something I want to try. I don't know
yes,
if you
yes,
probably, yeah. So
yes,
then,
all night
yeah,
long.
yeah. And
Okay,
maybe,
Jody.
yeah.
Jody says possibly a small home studio for midnight creativity. Girl, it is in my home. What is my problem? It's just that I'm in my pajamas. I've already had a shower.
Yeah.
I'm laying next to my husband. Like I don't want to get up and go paint because then I feel like I'll get on this schedule of like I'm painting all night and then I'm sleeping all day. And then I
Yeah.
don't know. So I'm just
I would
making
say,
excuses.
I would say a sketchbook by your bed to write it down. I think it could be a good idea.
Yeah, but then I'm never going to go to sleep.
Well,
Oh,
we just have to wait until Terry. All we have to do is paint. That's what when that day
yeah,
comes, that's going to be the best day ever.
I know. We can just stay up all night and sleep all day, and it's fine. It's totally
We
fine.
have no
Jody, I know.
responsibilities.
She said just get in there. I know.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to come on here and be like, bags under my eyes, and I'd be like, I've been up all night in a frenzy painting, and it was so free.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Well, then we need to do one of those retreats where all you have to do is eat and paint, and you don't have
Yes.
anything else to do.
Nothing else, and we stay
Yeah.
up all night.
I
So,
want to do one of those.
okay, I was trying to think of like a bad habit that I've created that Allie asked. So, a bad habit I have that I think we all have is that I don't wash my brushes enough. And the other day I came in here and there was stuff growing in my water, and I thought, ew, gross, Terry, come on. You're 51 years old, you know better.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have to clean the slime off of my brushes sometimes because that's just sad. So that's a terrible habit because they cost money. And sometimes I feel like I should be a better steward of my supplies because, many reasons. So that's one. What about you? Do you have any bad ones?
I'm trying to think. I think bad habits would be a little bit of procrastination sometimes. And that's why I
Yes.
say if I just start drawing something or start mixing some paint, if I could just get myself to that step, that's all I need to get going. So I think a little bit of procrastination for me, although because I have to put priority on the freelance work. When I do have a free day, I'm more motivated to get stuff done. I'm trying to think. Another bad habit would be scrolling through social too much. That's a bad
Although
habit.
that is a good habit for me too, because that's where I learn and that's where I get my most inspiration. But my most terrible habit that I have is that I get frustrated in the messy middle, which we've already done a whole episode on this.
Yeah.
We could do 20 episodes on the messy middle. And I get frustrated because it's not going the way that I think that it
Right.
should, or the
Right.
product's not cooperating with me. And so then I discard it and I want to start a new one. So I think that I really enjoy the beginnings the most because there's so much excitement and anticipation, and it's an endless possibility, right?
Right.
But the
real
middle
teacher-
freaking sucks. The middle sucks.
Yeah, the world is your oyster when you have that blank canvas. And then, once you start putting paint on, everything's going to be beautiful and lovely. And in your mind, it's just going to be this masterpiece. And then you get to that ugly stage. But I do think with you, especially, I think if you keep going, you have to keep going through that messy middle. Now, you could let it sit overnight
I
and then
do.
pick it up again the next day. But I think you keep working it. And a lot of times you get yourself out of that messy middle.
Oh, you always do if you keep going. And I obviously, I mean, I learned that lesson. So you would think it's in there. Hey, keep, I'm getting better, but I do have that tendency to just be like, I
Throw
just
away.
want to start. Yeah. Well, I have 4 on the floor right now. See them?
Yeah.
That are in a terrible, terrible messy middle that this morning I thought, oh, I'm just going to gesso over them. And I thought, but why? Because this is the perfect opportunity to try some things that I want to try that I might not try on one that's going where I want it to go.
Right. You
Right.
can experiment. You can experiment on those. And you can
Yeah.
try something you wouldn't normally try. But I also
And
think
those always turn out to be the
really
best
fun.
ones.
Yeah. Well, I'll say one more thing to that is if you do 2 canvases at the same time, a lot of times that helps what you are doing, because you can have one where you plan on making this the perfect one, and then you have one that you just play on in between. And usually the one that you're just playing on is the one that turns out better. But I wanted to add to your thing. I also think because of your method of pouring the ink and then waiting for it to dry, I think it is a little bit tougher than if you're just painting fully with acrylic paints and a brush. I think
I'm at the
pouring,
mercy of how it dries. And it
yes,
doesn't always, and so this, I'm just beginning this part too with all the watercolors and I'm loving it, but it has a lot of very frustrating phases because I'll pour and then go to bed thinking that it was going to stay there. And then it has a mind of its own and it goes different places. And then I come in here in the morning and I'm like, that is not what you were supposed to do.
right, right,
So now I have to fix that or figure it out. But I think that the key is to remember that if it ever got to the place where I could just come in here and perfectly pound out a masterpiece every time I sat down to the canvas, I would get so bored that I wouldn't do art anymore. So the
yeah, and
joy
that's not
is
going to happen.
really in the exploration of like where it's going to go. And that comes as full circle back around to letting go and
Right,
letting things happen and reacting to those things that happen and using them as clues of what our next step is instead of seeing it as a disaster.
right, and it's the experience, and then the more you do, the better you get, because
Yes.
you'll learn from your mistakes. So we have to do those mistakes. And I will say,
Yes.
anybody who's a watercolor artist that is in here, I am like so admiration for watercolor artists, because watercolor, you have to let it go, you have to let it be free, you can't overwork it. And I tend to overwork. I guess that's my bad habit, I should tell.
Me
I
too.
overwork a painting, and I'm sure a lot of us do that, but I overwork it, or I try to get too detailed, and I'm supposed to be loose, and I'm adding the little detail, and I'm like, wait, no, you don't have to do that. You're supposed to
Yeah.
just put as little as you can to represent what you want it to be. You don't have to put all the detail in. And yeah,
Oh,
so I
that
think
is
that's my
such a
bad
good
habit.
sentence. Somebody typed that in here so that I didn't bring a piece of paper for the first time that
Okay,
we've
I'll
been
remember.
recording this, and I want to write that down. You said that for it to be abstract, it should be the least amount of
Detail, like whatever you can paint with a brush that gives you that image or impression. So the least amount of brushwork you can do and still have it represent the image or the thing you're trying to paint. So the simpler you can make that object with the least amount of detail, and yet still have it come through, is what that you're trying to do.
Okay, this is going to take us on a different little journey here, and I don't know how much time we have left, but I have a
Uh,
question about this that I struggle with.
okay.
Okay?
Yes, yes.
So in that realm of what you're saying, I have serious mental issues with it that I am currently trying to work through and let go, which is that because I am an emerging artist, because I'm not trained, traditionally trained, or however you want to say it, I'm coming into this with just this, hey, I'm going to try this out and see what happens. I have those insecurities, which are getting less and less as I move forward, but they're still a little bit there. We all have them, right? But that insecurity comes in of like, well, that's too simple, so no one's going to take that serious, or that looks ridiculous. No one's going to think that you're an artist because you're painting crap. What are you doing? And so I feel like I'm putting this pressure on myself that things have to be so much more than they actually need to be in order to be taken seriously in the art community or in the art world for collectors. Or and that's a whole other, we should write that down for a different live that we do, of the pressure that galleries and these expectations that are put on us of how we need to create in order to be taken seriously, and
Yeah,
and dealing with all of that.
yeah, and I think you're totally wrong. I think your stuff is so beautiful and so joyous and happy but I know we all get that about ourselves. We're hard on ourselves, but and you don't have to, we don't nowadays, you don't have to be in a gallery.
I
Before,
know.
to be a professional artist, you had to go through the gatekeepers and you had to get in a gallery. We don't have to do that anymore. We can find our customers online and through our social media. And your stuff is beautiful. Like, I would look at your stuff and think you've been doing that forever because it's so beautiful and
Thank
simple
you.
and free. So you don't have to think about that. And I didn't go to fine art school, but I went to art school. I became a graphic designer. I took art classes. I took design classes. But I don't think you have to go to art school to be an artist. There's no
I
reason.
agree.
There's no reason to. You just have to keep creating, keep painting. That's all you need. The practice makes perfect. The more you do,
Well,
the better
and
you get.
I totally agree with you 100%. And I think one of the things that threw me for a loop in my confidence was when I did apply for the Seattle Restored and the City of Auburn, the city things that I applied for. You had to do your bio and those things. And then it was like, I went to look at other people's bios and I saw theirs and it said, been to this school, been to that school, done this, done that. And I'm like, okay, well then how am I ever going to be taken seriously at these things when my bio says, learned how to paint on Instagram? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, so I know that that's not, I'm being facetious a little bit there,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
that's how it made me feel. It's like, how can I compete with these bios that have all of this fancy stuff on it that, you know,
Well, I'll say, who's going to be in an art museum? Who's going to be in a fine art museum? Not me.
right.
There's no way. So that
But
right there.
okay, but I see some people's art. I actually made a folder in my Instagram last night. You know how you can save things to a folder?
Yeah.
I created a folder that said, let go, dot, 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 they did. Because
Ah,
I see people's art where they have let go and they have let their inner child out and they paint these crazy things. And I see them in fine art museums. So who's to say that we won't be in a fine art museum? Maybe if we would let go and just paint what our heart really wants to paint and stop worrying about what everybody's going to think about it,
that's the
then we
key.
would be in a fine art museum.
That's the key. So you just made your own argument. You just answered
I
your own
did.
question.
I need a piece of paper. Oh, I got a scrap piece of something
Oh
else.
my gosh.
I gotta write this down. Somebody take
Yeah.
notes for me, please.
Yeah, write it down. Oh
I
my
gotta find a
gosh.
pen. Okay, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep it going while I
Okay.
write.
Allie said that she follows Amanda Evanston. She shows you the joy, and there's a market for it. For
Okay, I'm
sure.
writing her down. Amanda Evanston.
Evanston.
Okay.
But yeah, but you just totally preached right now, girl.
I did to myself. This is what I
Yeah,
do when I'm by myself. I have to talk myself through all of these things before I can even start painting.
I know. We all do it. Oh my God, mindset is so huge. Oh my gosh. Hi,
It's
Aussie
I
Mama.
think it's I think it's the
Hi,
the total
JH.
it either makes or breaks us, our mindset. What we think about, what we talk, what we tell
Oh
ourselves,
my
what we
God,
talk about, how we talk to ourselves.
it's a
You know,
struggle every
it
day.
is.
Every
But
day.
but it is controllable. It is something
Yes.
that we do have control over. So if we just spend some time working on that and progressing in that area, I think that we'll get there.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
What did Aussie Mama say? Or was it Aussie or Allie?
Uh, Allie said 100, or Jody said 100%. Allie said, I think you find your market for sure. We all do.
True.
That's the whole
Yes.
point. And I do know when I did go to design school, one of my instructors had said, there's always going to be people that are better than you. And there's going to be people that you are better than. But you will find the customers that like what you do. And we talked about this before. No one
Yes.
can create what you create. You can try to paint like somebody else, but it's still going to be different because it's your hand, it's your brush, your movements. There's no way you're going to be able to match anybody because it's coming from
Right.
you.
Right.
So I think and I have to struggle with this too because I tend to want to do things that are going to sell, and I just want to paint what I comes from inside, like you said. I think that's everybody's goal, just to paint what comes inside, because that is going to be the most precious, the most unique, the most from your heart, and people are going to see that. So the more we do that, the better. And I
And
think,
when are we going to do that? Like, what are we waiting for? Like, this is
well,
just an honest question, not directed specifically at you,
yeah.
but what are we waiting for?
Well, we're trying. I'm trying every time I paint. Like when I find myself getting too detailed, and I'm like, no, no, I'm gonna be, I am constantly trying to be free, but it's not. I don't think it's something that comes overnight.
Yeah, very true.
And
Very
I think
true.
because we are beginning to where we're really dedicating more of our life to this, that I think it just takes time. And the
Yeah.
more you do, I think that's going to start to develop. Like
I
I
hate
look at the
things that
stuff,
take time.
yeah, I look at the stuff I posted in 2020, or way down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
oh,
Yeah, very good point. Very good
yeah,
point. Because
yeah,
seriously, if even if you just look to 6 months ago,
yeah,
and you think about how far you've come just as an artist,
yeah,
we are always progressing forward. And I guess that lesson that you're saying is to have a little bit more patience,
yeah,
a little bit more grace with ourselves, and allow it to remember bringing it all back to it's the journey, it's the
yeah,
joy, it's not
yeah,
the end result. And if
right,
we hurry up and get there, I came from an industry where it was hurry up and get there because the end result is where all the happiness is. And I spent up 24 years of my life trying to hurry up and get to that end result. And I missed all the journey in the middle. And
yeah,
so I guess I'm trying to actually do that with my art as well, because that's what I've been trained to do. And I've got to let that
and let it
go
go.
and keep
Yeah,
reminding myself to just be in the journey. It
yeah,
doesn't matter how fast I get there, because
yeah,
it's not about getting there. I
yeah.
am there in the
Yes,
journey.
exactly. You are there. That's perfect. Okay, well, we've gone for 30 minutes, but I think this went really well. This was fun.
It totally was. Oh my God, Allie, I don't think we stayed on your subject very long, but
I think we did okay. I think
we
we
did
got parts
good.
of it.
We did good.
Yeah.
Oh,
But anyways, thank you, Allie, for coming on and asking us that question so we could talk about it today. And maybe we
yeah.
should do these. Um, I don't know. We'll have to do
More
these
often.
again. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure. It was.
I know I'm more apt to say, well, let's have some subject as a backdrop, but we do have really good conversations we just flow and we just start talking and what's hitting us for that day. Allie said we did
Yeah.
great.
Thank you, girl. We
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
you.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think that because the reason I suggested this is because when we do our practice, this is our conversation about the subject. And then when we get in front of the camera, it's like we feel like we have to be perfect again and that we have to detail it in like our little paintings,
Well,
right? And so
yeah.
we're a little freer now.
I think we're just trying to get. I feel like it's more so we don't necessarily practice, but we talk about. We have some points that we want to hit, so that we add value.
That's practice. However you want to spin it, it's practice.
Oh,
We
okay.
have that, but that's another mental thing. Squirrel note off of that. But that is another mental thing that I think as artists and as women that we have to remind ourselves is that no matter what, we have value and we add value. Our
Yeah.
thoughts and our conversations and our being, our presence adds value everywhere we go, and just getting more comfortable with it, that's okay, you
Yeah.
know?
I just want to make sure that people have fun when they listen to us and they get something out of it. So that's the only reason why I say we want to have some points to hit. We balance each other out well.
We
I
totally
love
balance
it.
each other out because I'm like, they're getting fun. Hello,
Yeah,
what's more than that? No, I'm
that's true.
kidding.
It's entertainment time.
It
Okay.
totally is. Okay, before we go, tell us what you're working on and what's the huge
Oh,
win. You had a huge win this week. I'm so
oh,
excited.
yes, I did an article for LA Voyager magazine. I don't know if I got the name right because I was going to go back and look, but I just sent in for an article. So I'm hoping I'll get some exposure that way. And then I've got my little ornaments that I got packaged and ready, and I'm going to just give those out to, I'm going to have them for my email list. So anybody that signs up, today's the last day because the email goes out tomorrow morning, but they can pick and purchase any of my unique Christmas ornaments.
They turned out so cute, and the packaging is just the like. It's
Thank
just
you.
I'm all about
So is
packaging.
yours.
It's an
So
experience.
you did amazing with yours. Tell us about yours, what you got, because you got
Uh,
your little minis.
Oh, I did. I launched my minis, and I've sold 6 so far, so I'm very excited about that, and that's still ongoing. And my big win for the week is that I'll be posting about this later as it
Oh
comes
yeah.
up or as I do it. But I applied for a really awesome art fair out here. I've kind of been talking about it over the last things, and the announcement came in yesterday that I got on the wait list. And at first I was a little bit disappointed. I'm not going to lie because of course I wanted to get in, but then I thought, you know what, Terry, 2 years ago, you weren't even an artist.
Right.
You applied to a juried show and they said, she's got potential. We'll put her on the wait list. I will take that. That's amazing. I'm so excited.
Well, and I spin it that it's everybody that's already in the show wants to stay in the show. So that means that if there was an opening, you would already be in. So I look at you
I'll
being
take
on the
that
wait
too.
list. I think you're on the wait list because everybody else still wants to be in the show, but you would have been in if somebody wanted to give up their space. So
I'm
yes,
super excited.
congratulations.
Thank you. It's honestly the thing that's coming out of it is just the encouragement to have that in my toolbox in my brain of when I start talking bad to myself of that I'm not who I need to be, that yeah, you're on the right path, Terry. Just keep pushing, just keep getting better, keep enjoying the process and see where it goes.
And what
So
you
I'm
learned from it,
happy.
you had to build booth, you had to figure out how you were going to display everything. So all of that is
Yeah.
learning.
I
Yeah,
challenged myself and
yeah,
I'm learning to enjoy challenge. It's not always bad. It's good. It's using our brain. I had to be creative in a different way to set up my booth and that was fun.
yeah, yeah. It was
Yeah.
great. It
Yeah.
was
Thank
great.
you.
It was
Thank you.
great.
I'm
Okay,
excited.
well, thank you everybody that came on today with us. This was fun, and thank you, Allie, again for willing to put a subject out for us. I loved it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
thanks,
And we can't
Terry,
wait
for
to have you
pushing.
back on.
And thanks, Terry, for making me feel get out of my comfort zone.
You'll do me. You push me. I push you. We get there together. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, we love our fellow artists. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in a week and a half, right? every other week we do this. So
Yeah.
yeah, before Christmas, and then we'll probably take a break for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So,
Bye,
bye,
everybody.
everybody.
We'll have the replay up, and you could watch the replay or refer to anybody that wants to watch the replay. It's in our stories and on our Reels page. Or
And
it's
our
on my
highlights.
Reels page. And highlights. That's what I meant. Not stories, but highlights. Yeah. Okay. Bye, everybody. Okay, let's see if I can close out of here. I forgot how to do it.
The best part.